fundamentally worried that that's actually where we are. And, I thought about it for a while, and I met with Derrick, and it was sort of like a meeting where I'd already pre-decided that I wasn't doing the gig anyway, but I was just going to have the meeting. But we got on very well, and we started to talk about what was in there and potentially what shouldn't be in there, because there was a lot of words to start with, but you can't justify the actions of a character like this. It's an individual decision that he's made, and he's going to do what he's doing, but there is no justification. And we both agreed on that, So therefore, the challenge becomes, can you play a character who has absolutely zero charm or, humanity? He's disconnected on all levels. It sort of became a thing where the level of fear was such that then I had to do it. I had to face that thing and go, right, this is actually possible in this world because we've seen it happen, and then, so it's funny, all the way through the movies I've done, there's always like a cycle, and it comes down to that kind of decision, and I'm also really aware of what I have done in the past, and I don't respond to something that feels like a retread of something that I've done. So I'm always kind of looking for, even if it's a sliver or so, away or a slightly different direction, it's like, as long as it feels to me like it's fresh ground, and I've played a lot of characters with big journeys, and sometimes they do kind of outrageous things, but a lot of those journeys, there's a scaffolding beneath the character that gives him license to behave in that way, but this was a different thing altogether, and there was a lot of speeches in the original script that tried to sort of talk about sort of normal life experiences as being things that could tip you into this place. And I as someone who's, I'm just a human being. Everybody has. You've had, good experiences. You've had bad experiences. You've, been connected to tragedy and sometimes very close in your family, and, those things come on you and you bear them, and, you may be divorced or what, all of these things, you may have had bad luck business-wise, all of these things, they can add up as lessons and how you go forward and how you create, something better the next day. And that's my natural place of thought, So this was a very unnatural character to play for me. But I had a really good partner in crime. My relationship with Derrick is very simple, very easy. So it's to look at the trailer and to look at the movie, you would think that set was potentially fraught with tension, and it just was not. We had an incredibly cool stunt crew. We had an incredibly cool camera department. We had really on-point makeup and hair, etc., like the whole thing, And we were working on a very truncated schedule, stripped bare to keep it moving, in these modern days of movie making where you have to be so fully aware of every dollar. And it was the most relaxed film set I've been on in 20 years. It was just chilled out. It was like, what are we doing today? Oh, we're going to crash the car with a truck. It's like, it was, I really appreciated that relationship with Derrick and his artist's eye. So, a mistake you might make in a film like this is trying to throw all of those justifications up on the wall, and talk in terms of the complete, list of society's ills, But in a way, we all know that because we're all in the middle of that. So that's the sort of life we're living. So Derrick was brave enough to take a more poetic approach. And by poetic, I mean the distillation of what the story is, and bringing it down to the type of engine that it has as it pumps through. It was a very enjoyable experience. But I know it's an odd thing to say, but it's just sort of the way I make decisions sometimes. But I was scared shitless of that script. Yeah, well, so Carl had made some of those paint strokes, but in the language of film, the way it shapes and everything, those are the paint strokes that became more emphasized in the way that Derrick was thinking about how the movie would play out. So it's that kind of thing. It's like if you're going to call the character the man, you're not even going to give him a name, then the backstory is not necessary, You can make assumptions from his name. You can put together from the little pieces that we give that there is a history of negativity and it's impacted this man, this particular individual man, in this way. And I think, though, all the way through the film, Derrick as a filmmaker is still kind of reassuring you. While it's all still bad, he's sort of reassuring you in a way. And even though we got no outlet, because a lot of the times in these movies where you have a really, really bad character, you can do some comedy on the side. You can hit a couple of gags, because of the intensity of the character. But it's just so inappropriate in this to do that, So you can't lean on any of those things. And if you show humanity, then you open that crack that says, I need to know the entire story then. If you're showing me he's got a little bit of that, then I, as an audience member, need to know the detail of everything. And it's not that. It's that thing that we see happening time and time again, where some individual has taken what we all consider to be the normal travails of life and let them go into themselves in a place which just implodes all ability to reason, implodes all ability to have empathy. And, it's a dangerous, dangerous thing. But we're seeing it more and more. Yeah, well, it is. It's like a small, almost like pointless slight. And, she's not even really that angry or whatever, but just where he is in his life at that point in time, the sort of implosion that he's going through, to give him a new target, to give him a point for his anger. It's all he needs. That's the catalyst. He just wants something to lash out against, All of this stuff is impacting him, who he believed he was, the position he believed he took in society as a, well, I don't want to go through the list of the thing, but you learn little pieces of information about him, But the sum total of that with his actions is just so completely unreasonable. Derrick went through a very, very long process. He saw a lot of actresses, a lot of whom are friends of mine, and auditioned a lot of people, big names and what have you. But I think he didn't feel he had that every woman character that he wanted Caren's character to be. So, the last stage of that casting process was actually a screen test in New Orleans and with the top three actors that Derrick had seen to that point. And, if you started the betting book at the beginning of that process, Caren would have been the rank outsider, you know. But it was just very, very clear, you know. We filmed it, we shot it, we could watch it over and over again. Her screen test won the day. And, you know, it probably wasn't, from the studio point of view, it probably wasn't like a high five moment because they had a big name and what have you, or, you know, because she's relatively unknown. But the footage was undeniable. She has such a presence on screen, you know, a kind of a young Meryl Streep sort of vibe, you know. And, yeah, she makes that character's journey a lot more detailed and nuanced, and you can feel her strength building up, and she never gives up, you know, though she has so many reasons to give up, but she just clings on to it with a fingernail and keeps going forward. And I think, look, I mean, it's a leading actress performance in a feature film, and she's done extremely well. Look, so far, everything that we've done has been very easy as well, you know. The deal going into it, the trust during the course of it, you know, and when I say trust, I mean that also includes Derrick, obviously, he's the director, you know. And, you know, there was definitely presence, but it was never, in my experience, any of the negatives of that, you know. It was all that we know we're doing something really edgy and let's have a go at it. And everybody was giving it their best. And you know, I think, you know, since production, the same thing could be said. And, you know, recently Mark came up with the idea that, you know, there's a lot of things against us, but there's a gap in the traffic. And if we believe in what we have, let's go first. And I think it shocked a lot of people, but you can't question the logic. You know, there's going to be such a traffic jam when things get back to, you know, quote unquote normal, if we ever achieve. And did we ever have that anyway? And that's another conversation. But the short answer to that is that Solstice is a really energetic partner. And it's sort of like I've done a lot of little extra things in bits and pieces simply because of the ease of the relationship, you know. And it's been good. Look, it's a huge risk, man. You know, he's just putting all the apples on number 7 and seeing how he goes. And you know, I think when somebody is that definite about the power of their idea, you know, as Mark is with this early release date, the thing you do is go, okay, man, we're doing it your way. And that's, you know, that's the attitude that Derrick and I have taken. Obviously for Derrick, you know, I mean, he's doing a feature film, and all those things you just listed, he's in post-production on a feature film that contains this much violence and destruction in the middle of, as you said, the pandemic and street riots and all of the different restrictions he has on, you know, trying to work bi-coastal and the times he can work over there and the times that people can work there. Yes, it's a challenging situation for him, but he seems to be doing very well.